To discuss, we're joined by counterterrorism expert Gadi Adelman. Gadi, thank you for being with us. Gadi, these camps, according to Hamas, and I quote, are meant to stoke the embers of jihad among the generation of liberation. What exactly goes on at these camps, Gadi?
What goes on? You know, a typical Gaza summer camp activity would include scouting, military training, and introductory programs like the one that they've used in the past and you just mentioned, which is titled with the theme Jerusalem Intifada. Kids spend their summers learning to crawl beneath barbed wire, they carry and fire automatic rifles, and they carry out simulated attacks on Israeli military outposts.
What about the ideological aspect of these camps? Because it's not just the military training. There's also another part of the curriculum which involves teaching these kids how to hate Israelis.
Well, that's the whole point. You know, Hamas is destroying the future of their own children. And as you mentioned in the intro, you know, you think about a summer camp in this country, these camps are totally underestimated. And they are teaching terrorism as well as nothing more than a hateful ideology. And what's surprising is that this is not something that they hide. You just showed a video. Just go online and do a search of Hamas summer camps. And it's not just Hamas. There are various organizations within Gaza, including the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. The numbers of these children, the numbers that I know of, when you put all these different various groups together, about 100,000 children per summer participate in this.
And Gadi, you have to, of course, point out the hypocrisy, because although Hamas hosts these training camps, they then very loudly condemn any attacks on children or in which children land up being casualties. Now, using child soldiers, Gadi, it's a UN war crime. So how is this not being addressed by the UN?
How is any of this not being addressed by the UN? We talk about this each time I'm on. And, you know, the UN, I used to joke when I lived in Israel, the UN stood for unreliable. The UN and everything that they do in Gaza helps Hamas. We've seen this in the fact that they have discovered schools that are UN-run schools that are nothing more than outposts.
Gadi, school is one thing. This is a camp where it is explicitly the agenda to teach young children to be military, to put it mildly, to engage in military conflict, and that's the positive spin on it. It is against the United Nations for there to be child soldiers. So where is the UN coming out on this? How come there isn't at least a statement? Because the UN is surely aware that these summer camps are going on. As we've just shown you, they're freely advertised. It's public knowledge.
Agreed. And you know, I go back to what I was just saying. When the United Nations has their own schools being utilized under their noses with their knowledge for hoarding weapons as well as rockets, as well as firing rockets into Israel. And this was all discovered in 2014 during the last back and forth war, if you will, between Israel and Hamas. Why are we surprised that the UN doesn't say anything about these summer camps?
You know, you have to pity these children, Gadi. You really just have to pity these children. Gadi, where is the money to run these camps coming from?
Well, you know, that's the old saying of follow the money, and all the money that keeps getting into Hamas, that Hamas is supposed to use. We need to remember, Hamas is the government in charge of Gaza. There is no occupation. They run everything in there. And rather than utilizing that money to build schools and build hospitals and infrastructure and their electric and their water, this is what we see it being used for. Tunnels and teaching children how to kill. These camps are open to both boys and girls as young as the age of 10.
As young as the age of 10, and apparently up to 30,000 kids are enrolled for this year's summer camp terrorism program. Gadi, thank you so much. Counterterrorism expert Gadi Adelman.
Thank you.